Ever heard the idiom, it takes two to tango? For service design facilitator and executive coach Renatus Hoogenraad, the spirit behind this idiom has a more literal meaning. As a former professional ballet dancer and somebody trained in applied improvisation, Renatus pays special attention to how we show up and use our bodies at work. He thinks of work as an ongoing choreography where a form of dance is happening in the interactions among team members. Renatus' perspective is a refreshing counterbalance to what many of us have been trained to do at school and work: live in our heads. We're led to believe that relying on our intellect will help us succeed, while downplaying intuition, emotion, and relational skills that are key to achieving meaningful breakthroughs in any domain. If you look into the lives of legendary innovators, you will find that their breakthroughs were not solely a byproduct of thinking, but that other human faculties were key to their achievements. In this episode, Renatus and I explore his approach to being more embodied at work, how to unlock better creative collaboration through greater embodied awareness, and how he applies learnings from his previous life as a professional ballet dancer to helping people be more connected and in sync at work. I hope this conversation inspires you to explore what being more embodied at work is like for you and sense into what transformation you may be able to unlock for yourself and how you relate with others. I learned a lot in this conversation with Renatus, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Renatus, welcome to Making Business Art. It's great to have you on today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so you have a really interesting journey, and I'm looking forward to see what emerges out of this conversation. Something I do know about you and where I'd like to start is that when you were a teenager, you already had a sense that you wanted to have an impact on other people through your work. Tell me more about what you remember about your intention at that time.
Yeah, it's a while ago for me. So let me think back. Yeah, at the time I was training really to become a professional ballet dancer,
Mhm.
which is hard work mentally and physically. And I noticed that by dancing or by moving and by creating dance and stories, you you could impact people's emotions and thoughts and stuff. Uh, and this is where I noticed that choreography as an art form, physical, non-spoken art form, tells stories. And through those stories, if you are a choreographer, the person who actually works with groups to build that, you can actually impact people's day. So,
Mhm.
and I wondered if that's something I would like to do. And also, I noticed that it's important for me to. It sounds a bit weird, but the meaning of life, is like
Mhm.
at that time already. I was like, why are we here? What is this? What can we do for each other? Why are we together? And dance is a great way to express that. So,
Yeah.
hence,
At that time, what do you remember be something that you were like really inspired by during your teenage years? And it could have been any kind of media, books, or performances, or people, or anything else.
I was really inspired by movies at the time.
Mhm.
This is Europe, huh? So we're talking about like German after-war movies and
Mhm.
science fiction movies.
Yeah.
Green Soil, maybe it doesn't ring a bell, but it's about
Mhm.
it's a terrible story about life and death. And music, a lot of music, because I was in classical ballet training, so I had to also I played an instrument at the conservatory, Royal Conservatory, where I was studying. So I was in contact with a lot of classical music, jazz music, so a lot of different styles,
Mhm.
as well as Baroque music. And for me, that still is one of the best music forms there existed. So
Mhm.
I think the one thing it says also is history. I think I'm really interested in history, the past.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, let's jump back to present day and
Mm,
tell me
cool.
about where do you work and what do
Mhm.
people hire you to do?
Great questions. I ask myself that same question sometimes. Yes, no, that's an interesting question because I don't have the, let's say, the pedigree of
Mhm.
what you call a consultant or a business designer or a designer or something else. It has I come with very different flavors, I would say. So usually what people I think hire me to do is to help them understand their world better and to help them understand how they can work better together in the configuration organizations that they find themselves in. So working better together and understanding the world around them. And that's a very large topic,
Mhm.
but in the end, it seems to be a very basic needs in any uh, often I say of organizations or businesses or any other form of organization. It's just a bunch of people getting together to get something done,
Yeah, I
but you
agree with
need
that.
several people. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I totally agree with that. So just tell me a little bit, if you can just, for now, just make a list of what are some of the tools that you bring into this work? Like, what are some of the
mhm.
approaches?
Okay. So a very strong tool or approach is design work, known as design thinking, service design, experience design. You can call it anything you like, based on a similar method that is also linked, by the way, to other forms of work that could be even scientific cycles and stuff. It's a similar way. Another methodology I use a lot is coaching. I'm a licensed certified coach as well, so I do a lot of individual and team coaching. So there's methodologies there as well. Methodologies out of the world of theater and dance linked to improvisational theater.
Mhm.
So the embodiment of stories, storytelling, narratives, scenarios, all those things. And the last thing is something which is getting stronger and stronger is something is which is facilitation, the art of facilitation. How do you
Mhm.
facilitate work with other people or other people's work by making it easy for them, making it easy for them.
Yeah,
So there's four
yeah,
pillars basically.
yeah. Well, I was very intrigued about your background in dance, and like very serious
Mm.
background. It wasn't like it was a hobby. Like you were
Oh,
doing very intensive training. I mean, like professional training, basically,
yeah.
to be in that world, in that capacity. And you know, in the world of education and work, at least here in the West, in the Western world, we're really trained and encouraged to, live up in our heads. And that's certainly something that I'm working to recover from. So I thought
Mhm.
this
Oh yeah.
conversation is gonna be
I'm
like
with you.
like
Yeah.
really interesting for me in many ways and at
Yeah.
many layers.
Yeah.
So, you as somebody who brings more physicality and embodiment to work, what's your take on what are we missing when we mostly operate from the head?
Oh man. Yeah. We're we're missing let's say there is a more let's say okay, listen. There's a more head rational way to explain this
Mhm.
and a more I would say body way to explain this. This is how I
Mhm.
would say it.
Mhm.
Let's start with the easy one, the head one.
Mhm.
Uh, what we're missing is just part of reality. I mean,
Mhm.
sensations, emotions, they are vehicled, as we say, through the body. Okay. Our brain doesn't decide to be angry. Um, it's processes, hormones, all that kind of stuff that happens in your body that is a reaction to the perception of the world around you,
Mhm.
a filter because reality doesn't exist. You know that. And that creates this soup, I would say. And this is part of your experienced reality. So if you only try to understand things through your brain, your intellect, you you cannot access that. And it's so you miss a big part of reality, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I consume a fair amount of content because I'm a very curious person. And something that I'm finding myself being dissatisfied with is content around like neuroscience, and they focus on the brain but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have all these sensory surfaces, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, just as you're saying, it reminds me of times where I might smell something, and then it just takes me back to a time in my
Absolutely.
childhood, or reminds me of somebody, or just how we were, our entire bodies, right? Our sensory surfaces are in constant conversation with our surroundings,
Absolutely.
and we'll get into. I mean, let's touch on this because we do. I'm starting to notice personally, but also read how we read in kind of psychology literature, how we
Mm,
co-regulate each other.
mm.
So you know how like mood is
What we
very
do.
contagious, and
Yes.
I think you probably play a lot with that in with applied in
Mm.
improv. Yeah. So tell me about, yeah, this the mood and the co-regulation, that exchange of mood and emotion between or among people. What kind of what thoughts do you have around that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's well, it's still, yeah. So let's move now from the brain to the body, maybe,
Yeah.
because that
Hmm.
the basic answer is like, well, is I don't actually, I don't know.
Hmm.
When you ask me the question, why do people hire you? I think they hire me for this reason, but I think there's way more at play.
Hmm.
There's way more emerging, I would say, when people work together and where people are able to align mentally and physically, then the brain can understand, or that we can record or something like this. We're trying to do our best now with scanners and stuff and
Hmm.
MRIs to understand how, but no. So the so let me explain how this. So there's a distinction between individual, you and yourself,
Hmm.
and there's all kind of things happening in your body, chemistry, hormones, and stuff that has an impact on the way you perceive reality and in the way you interact with your surroundings. This thing. If you're on your own, that exists. If you're with other people, there is many different parameters around you because there's other individuals who also have that happening at the same time. And the beauty of physicality is that we, I think we've learned as species as social interactive species, to to be together without having the understanding of being together. Basically, it just happens. Let's say it
Hmm.
that way. So in reality, when I work with a group, for instance, knowing a bit of how this works, more by the way, empirically than actually scientifically,
Hmm.
I will have them interact with each other in a certain way. Meaning that's just standing up, just making a line, just grouping according to something that is important to them, having side conversations, understanding people's nonverbal, or let's say paraverbal elements. How do we
Hmm.
use our voices? Those are
Yeah.
all ways that we share. Have you noticed this as well?
Yeah, no, actually, it's making me think of a time some years ago. I scraped together a little bit of budget and hired somebody to just do like a very elementary introduction to acting class for me.
Cool.
And I remember just one of her points was just intonation and emotion. So you could say to
Oh
somebody
yeah.
like, "Hey, nice shirt," or like, "Hey, nice shirt." You know, same words, very different
Absolutely.
underlying meaning. And you know, it's something like very obvious. We experience that day to day, but sometimes perhaps we don't internalize it and really recognize what's happening. So anyway, so I think you already started touching on this other question I had, which is, you know, what does introducing physicality into teamwork look like? And more importantly, what changes do you notice that brings about?
Yeah.
So you're talking about lining people up and getting people to move around. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So there is something I'm touching upon now, which
Mhm.
is, I must admit, for me, still like a kind of a gray zone or even a no go zone yet because it's linked to my past. There is something like choreography in the workplace
Hmm.
or choreography. But if there's
Hmm.
two individuals together,
Mhm.
there is a dance. I mean, we don't call it a dance because
Okay.
there's no music and there's no steps, but
Mhm.
people are sitting in a certain way, they're standing in a certain way, they're having a conversation, they're looking somewhere, their
Mhm.
arms are somewhere, their legs are crossed or open. That all is a physical indication of a body position. And if you have several people in this, it creates choreography. It's not known, it's not aesthetically defined, but it's still an interaction. And you mentioned something which is really interesting about synchronizing. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
and this is what happens with people is that for some reason, when we work this way with people, we try to be as open as possible. I say we because I work with some of my favorite colleagues, and we share kind of the same pillars and ways of working. Um, at the start, people may be a bit not anxious, but like they will in Dutch. I'm a Dutch guy.
Mhm.
In Dutch, you would say they would stare the cat out of the tree,
Okay.
meaning they stay behind and they don't intervene so much.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when there is this group dynamics happening and when people are actually starting to move, to physically move, so getting out of their chairs basically, yeah? Out of their heads, by the way, because if you
Mhm.
move, you have to use your body.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, some kind of alignment helps or
Mhm.
starts to happen, meaning people are having slight conversations and they're moving in the room, and we use geometrical
Mhm.
lines,
Mhm.
circles, squares that people understand, and they can use these as a representation in the room, and understand that there is kind of a structure to what they're doing because it makes
Mhm.
sense, circle and stuff. But
Mhm.
within that, they actually are having an experience which is a physical one, which they don't
Mhm.
might not really understand because it's happening
Yeah.
at a very deep maybe level in their being, and a co-creative moment where something is created.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let me check with you something that I've been
Yeah,
noticing, and these are all like lived experiences that we're sharing, right?
of
And
course, please.
are just our own learnings. And and just as an aside, I think I kind of came to recognize again the obvious that human beings we really just learn by lived experience. There's so much good advice that we got when we were younger that we didn't really take, and
Mm,
now decades later you're like, oh, now I understand what my
yes,
grandfather or my uncle or whomever was telling me. I'm like, oh, now I get it
exactly.
because I went
True.
through it, right? I went through the nonsense that they were trying to help me not experience,
Of course, you have to live it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
but we all have to live it. So anyway, so I think there's just a lot of validity to just somebody's lived experience and unpacking it.
Mm,
But so something that I'm noticing in this recovery process of recovering from being somebody like
yeah,
very
yeah.
much based on my head is what I recognize or what it makes me think of when you're telling me about the Dutch saying of the person staring the cat out of a tree. Physically, it's like a sense of like contraction, and
Mm,
and I notice when when we manage to help a team get to a better place of
yeah.
generation and creation, I notice that there's some release or some
Yes.
relaxation, right? Some
Absolutely.
ease. So does that,
Yeah.
yeah, is that just me, or is that something that you also understand with your body as somebody trained, obviously, in embodied,
But
art forms?
yeah, you're very right. There is some kind of a relaxation.
Mm.
I would even say lowering of my defenses.
Mhm.
So I when all of us for some when I move and in kind of synchronicity because
Mhm.
that's what it is when you make lines and groups and stuff and circles. There is a perceived physical synchronicity that equalizes everybody. You're not a manager, you're not a director, you're not a designer,
Mhm.
you are
Mhm.
a person standing in a circle with other people.
Mhm.
And I guess what it does to the body really is like, okay, it's okay. I'm not in danger anymore.
Mhm.
I'm also, by the way, I'm standing, so I am if I would fear something, I could actually go away. Whereas I'm sitting,
Mhm.
I'm a sitting duck. I mean,
Mm,
I can't physically move,
mhm,
so I'm stuck. So I think that's an element,
mm.
yeah, of relaxation. It is going to be okay. That's a physical sensation, I guess.
Yeah. Because I think on one hand, we might talk about, oh, the energy or in the room, and that maybe sounds kind
Mm,
of soft or fluffy or woo to some people,
yeah, exactly.
but if we maybe borrowing a little bit from science and just kind of
Yeah.
experiencing ourselves in the flesh, maybe it's that relaxation, coming back to that synchronization and co-regulation of people. Like
Mm.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
somebody wants people get relaxed and the other people are relaxed, and it just feeds back
Oh
on each
yeah.
other. Because I'm sure you've been in rooms where just the creative energy is just really, really nice, and people
Yeah.
get, in really good spirits. That's not necessarily just excitement. There's something different when you're in a very generative, creative, when you're creating that, when the group is creating that. It's not about us,
Yes.
the facilitators.
No.
Interesting. Well,
Well, but it's like I
yeah.
think our job is to set the scene
Yes.
for that to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a lot of acronyms or sorry, not acronyms, a lot of elements that are linked to theater that we use in business.
Yeah.
Setting the scene, costumes, a set, a desk, chairs, scripts, narratives. There is so many things that come from theater. And
Mhm.
setting the scene, I think, for us is a great way to explain our task is to set the scene for exceptional things to happen.
Yeah. Well, so let me just acknowledge. So you work with our mutual friend Adam Lawrence, who was on
Yes.
episode 11, and we both
Yes.
love Adam. And he
Yeah.
comes from the world of theater and comedy. And I
Yes.
remember in our conversation, if I remember right, he talked about, I might get this wrong. I think it was the collective breath or the collective gasp
Mhm.
or something like that. It was collective
Yeah.
and they had to do with breathing
Yeah.
in some way. And what it was were like those moments in a play where the entire audience goes like, the entire audience has a reaction, but that I think is also indicative of like a synchronization
Yes.
around a group of people, kind of
Yes.
enabled by the,
Yeah.
the talent, the people setting the scene and then presenting something. So yeah, definitely I see that. I'm just recalling Adam saying that
Yeah.
and it's bubbling up for me now that I hear you describe
Yeah.
what you're sharing.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing because this is, by the way, I think the task that we are trying to put on ourselves is that it's one thing to be in charge of a a representation like a play or a choreography. If I'm a dancer, I can create that with the audience because I am in charge and I can with the way I use my body and my energy and my way of interacting with my co-dancers, I can create strong emotions really
Hmm.
with people who are experiencing that from
Yeah.
the outside. So that's something when you are in control.
Hmm.
I think what we are doing, or what we're trying to do, is we are not on stage anymore.
Hmm.
They are on stage, and we try to bring them to build this wonderful narrative themselves and create those moments of gasp moments
Hmm.
themselves, where I would say, they kind of challenge themselves, and they are like, sometimes they go and go, wow, what just happened? That was
Yeah.
amazing. So those are the most beautiful moments.
Yeah. No, I agree. So just pattern recognition here, which is something I love to do
Yes.
on this show because there's a lot of learning
Yeah.
there. So, what common issues do you notice when you go to work with a team, like in organizations where
Mhm.
people are really up in their heads? What are the common issues that you encounter that you have to start working with and trying to like clear out so people can get to a better creative space?
Yes. The common issues. Well, so there is let's say the on the surface, like the iceberg thing, what you
Hmm.
see happening
Hmm.
is that they are uh, not automatic collaborating,
Hmm.
meaning they do not necessarily seek help, assistance, advice with other people
Hmm.
because they think they not have to know everything themselves.
Hmm.
So it's very individualized.
Hmm.
Okay. And this is great if you or optimizing a work process. Okay. Or if you're repeating something, I work a lot with accountants and auditors. Okay.
Okay.
And that's a process
Yeah.
that is descriptive,
Hmm.
and you just do the same thing all the time. Well, you don't have to necessarily collaborate with team members to invent something new. No, it's there. It's structured.
Hmm.
It exists. Optimization is wonderful for this. But the thing is, often when we come in, it is to is to develop something new that could be on service level, on experience level, on process level, all those things. And when something is new, you can't individually know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to tap into the wisdom and knowledge and experience of other people. So you have to collaborate. And a lot of people who are in that mind state don't don't understand that concept, not because they don't want to, but they've been, you mentioned school systems, okay?
Hmm.
We've been conditioned
Yeah.
an entire life in the Western world to think in a certain way and to act in a certain way. And mind is good. And you have to know everything yourself. And there's only one person who has the truth. All those things, the
Hmm.
teacher. And when all of a sudden we said, hey guys, you are all experts in this field, we are now on a design project where we need to understand better what the needs are we're trying to solve, and then make sense of it and start prototyping something around this. They go like, why? We have a problem. Okay. We define the problem. We have expertise. I've done this for 30 years. I know, I've seen this before, and I'll tell you the solution. We don't need to spend time to like research and make sense of stuff. We know it.
Yeah. Something that just popped in my brain hearing you describe this is, again, it's like the obvious, but I'm like, wow, it's just how isolating being up in our heads are,
Oh, yeah.
and then to collaborate, you really, to be effective at it, it it really asks us to be embodied.
Yes. Yes.
Huh.
This is, by the way,
Yeah.
this I'm going to side alley now.
Yeah.
Is This is why online collaboration,
Hmm.
on that level at least,
Yeah.
is a handicap for better outcomes. It's possible, and there's wonderful tools that we can use,
Hmm.
but all the, let's say, the non-spoken, the
Yeah.
intermediate communication,
Yeah.
the little eyesight, the side conversations,
Hmm.
the the all that kind of like under under the radar communication doesn't exist. And we are social
Hmm.
animals, so we are always scanning our environment. Even if a team works well together, we're always scanning other people, their reactions. So nonverbal
Hmm.
and their power, how the voice. You mentioned the voice, lovely, great example.
Yeah.
And because we want to, generally we seek harmony. We want
Hmm.
to spend a good time together. Generally, people want that. I know very few people who want to spend a bad time or have conflict purposefully. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a room with all our senses, that's way easier than online. So this is just a side alley here, but
Yeah.
so hence, yes, you're right. The sensations are important.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. There's just a lot. The bandwidth for different types of data between and among people is just
Oh
so
yeah.
like much bigger when we're in person. But
Yeah.
then, as a side to your side, to counterbalance, not to counterbalance, but to um, reflect and poke that with curiosity.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's just some really particular. There's a lot that can still be accomplished online where it has its
Yeah.
use, not to
Absolutely.
replace one with the
Agreed.
other. And the things that I find most intriguing is I stopped playing video games when I was a teenager because it was just like too addictive.
It's too
So
much.
no, it was just too
Yes.
addictive. So I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
I just had to like cold turkey cut it out because otherwise
Yeah.
I would not get anything done.
Yeah. Imagine it.
But I understand from people that play these collaborative online games that there's people who then like meet
Oh
like
yeah.
who get married and they're
Absolutely.
just interacting through this avatar just through audio. They're
Yeah.
not even seeing each other. but they're
Yeah.
collaborating and whatever the adventures the games are, and people become friends and get married and so forth. I even read this book. It's a thin little book called The Victorian Internet, where he talks about the
Okay.
rise of the telegram,
Yep.
in the 1800s.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
according to that book, it claims that the in between telegrams, in between work, some of these operators would just talk to each other just with Morse code, and that people also met and got married, etc., just through that
Correct.
type of So that's interesting, not to discard or
Absolutely.
favor one or over the other. I think being in person, it's like unparalleled level of interaction and lots of goodness to come out of that. But also there's
True.
there's something about the virtual space, that some phenomena that I see there, that makes me very curious. But anyway,
There's a
yeah,
great book out for like 10 years, a little bit more now, by Jane McConigal. Maybe you heard about this. It's
yeah.
called Reality is Broken.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And that talks about this actually, is that the online multiplayer environments actually teach people how to collaborate.
Hmm.
They're not sitting in their room and wasting their time. They're actually learning how to do great stuff together in a
Hmm.
virtual world.
Hmm.
But so no, I'm not discounting at all
Hmm.
that part of it. It is at some point, especially when there is marriage involved, people need to get physically together.
Yeah.
That's which is one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But like looping back, what that makes me think of is looping that back to facilitation, because
Yeah.
either the gaming or really really skillful facilitation, I think it both invites people to engage and act, instead of the more traditional teaching that I'm just transmitting, I'm just talking at somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that largely doesn't work. I
No.
I don't know that I know a human being that prefers to be lectured at versus doing something that's more engaging and joyful. Uh, probably
Exactly.
It's probably some people out there that are weird like that, but most people
Yeah, there
generally
are
are
some
not.
people who well, the thing is, if somebody lectures at you, first of all, it's something that you have probably seen in your entire life, at college, high school, probably now. By the way, hey, come on, the the preferred way of working in organizations still is pulling up a PowerPoint,
Hmm.
stuff it full of numbers, and just talk for an hour to your audience. This is-
Yeah,
so the thing is, so we're so used to it that we don't notice that it's done to us anymore.
yeah,
So it's convenient. I don't as to sit back. I don't have to say anything. I can be on my computer if I want to. I can be on my phone wherever I want, and whatever happens. But
yeah,
you can't create something new. Or would it could even be like even create a team experience, not even building something by doing that. It's impossible.
yeah. Well, on one hand, it's kind of very safe, because
Exactly.
interacting
Yes.
is uncertain and emergent,
Yeah.
and that's scary. That's scary, I think, for anyone. But there's so much goodness that comes out of it, and I think that also points back to the value of really good facilitation, of being able
Yes.
to kind of create and sustain the container
Yeah.
where people feel more relaxed and more comfortable,
Yeah.
just kind of more loose in engaging and jumping in, and just
Yeah.
allowing things to emerge. You
You're
know
right.
something, just going back to this thought of like relaxation and like contraction and being more relaxed.
Mhm.
Something I started to notice over time, with when we're getting um in points in a workshop or a gathering, where when we're asking people
Mhm.
to be like generative and generate a lot of ideas, it's yeah, just going back to that sense of contraction, but more like, not so much contraction of the body, but contraction of the mind, and how creativity is really about just kind of, if I make a fist with my hand and then I open it, it's more about relaxation. And then for a few
Mm.
years now, I just been processing this sense. It's like, oh, it's more about allowing
Oh
than,
yeah.
so it's all it kind of ties back to this ideas of like Taoist ideas. So it's more like a lot more like than actually forcing
Oh,
or
yeah.
doing. It's more like opening and allowing things to
But
flow
that's
through
weird,
us.
though.
It is.
That's weird, Ezekiel. Because you ask them to do something. You
Yeah.
ask them to produce something, which is a oh, by the way, often when you ask people to do something, even if you ask them a question, they are likely to want to reply. Okay. So it's like a task. But then you
Hmm.
say it basically is letting go. It's
Hmm.
so it seems to be antagonists to each other. You need to do something, but to do it, you have to let go.
Hmm.
That's
It's
a bit
very yes.
schizo. That's a bit
Yeah.
schizo, no?
Yeah. Well, the head doesn't like that.
No,
The head that we've trained, but I think
no.
it's like curiosity, especially people who have
Oh
small
yeah.
children. Like you don't have to try to be curious; it just comes out of you until
So
the school
totally.
system kind of kills it.
Yeah. 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 Unfortunately, you're so right, man.
You
Too.
know, but I think
Yeah.
I mean just creativity is something that just really emerges out of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me to contemplate that. Other than like stone tools, one of the first signs of humanity that you see is like cave paintings, an
Yeah.
abstraction.
Of
And
course.
and
Yeah.
and then I wonder how, what it meant to those people and like how they interacted with that space. Like, well, why was that there? Were they telling stories or was it, what were they
Yeah.
doing?
Wow. Hey, this is a great loop back to the conversation about body and embodiment and dance, really.
Mm,
We know that very old humanoid cultures had a very strong physical culture, meaning that
mhm,
they would. This is the way I imagine this. Okay, and I've read some stuff around this, probably like you as well. You're in this. You're somewhere in Africa, and there's lots of things around you that want to kill you. Let's say it that way. Okay, you have fire though, which is good because that keeps it away
mhm,
for a while.
mhm,
But so then there is the sky, there is the stars, and and you have to make sense of this as a tribe, as an individual. You have losses, you have joy, you have all those things, and I think to channel this energy uh, together, singing, dancing, telling stories, just by saying this, actually, it relaxes me.
hmm, mhm,
Sharing something with your neighbor, a compelling story of ancestors, standing up and moving at the same time on the same rhythm,
mhm.
that actually synchronizes our breathing. It synchronizes our heartbeats. It synchronizes our all those things are synchronized, and we are one. All of a sudden, we are one. And when we are one, we're stronger than just by myself. So I see this as
Yeah.
like a I think this is the reason why we are here today, because we are weak individuals. We stand up, we have our bellies open, we can
Mhm,
be stabbed any moment.
mhm.
Why are we still here dominating the world? My God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some great books written about this as well. Huh? I mean, Yuval, what's his name again? Yuval.
Harari?
Uh, yeah, Harari. It
Mhm.
talks about the reason why we're here, because we collaborate. We've
Yeah.
learned how to collaborate.
Yeah. That really is one of our
That's
superpowers.
yes,
Definitely
exactly.
is. Well, Renatus, like there might be a listener listening to this and kind of trying to make sense of our conversation back and forth. Because if they
Yeah.
haven't,
So
because we've been in the
absorb.
rooms, kind of living this
True.
out and testing and
True.
learning. But say there's somebody who says like, oh yeah, maybe I am too much up in my head, and
Good point.
so let's kind of talk about a couple of things that might help a
Hmm.
listener. First of all, just going back to if what might be some signs a listener might notice in themselves or their teams that like, hey, maybe you're up in your head too much. Let's start there.
Okay. This is a really important question. I think this is very important for all of us. And of course, it doesn't. There's no one way answer to this. That you,
Hmm.
it's by the way, we're not binary,
Yeah.
either or.
Right.
We can do both. we have learned, for some reasons, to adopt a certain way of working. Well, actually, but that's a deeper story. So when we work with Adam, for instance, Adam Lawrence, with groups around this, instead of, because we need them to understand that distinction between, on the one hand, wanting to use your head and wanting to structure information
Mhm.
and move forward only when you know what is ahead of you,
Mhm.
and the ability to letting go and to find freedom. We talked about this tension, this discrepancy between both, to be able to let reality emerge and see what happens. And that is a tension. And so what we do with, generally, both are good. We need both. We need people who are able to tell us what the plan is.
Mhm.
What are we expecting? Make sense out of stuff that we do. Control whatever needs to be controlled in the process of working. And on the other hand, we need people who are able to let go, to be able to access different parts of their brain, their bodies, connect dots in a different, curious way that don't make sense necessarily, but that can make sense later on. We talk often about a preference in this. So one could have a preference on one side or the other side, and they're both cool. They're really both cool. It's not that you have one or the other. You can do both, but you would be more attracted to one side because I'm not going to go into details about
Mhm.
this. What's important here to understand, though, is that since we can do both, we need to find ways for ourselves to access that.
Mhm.
Okay. And as an individual, that would mean is to, if you are very strong on the head side, on the structure side, explore what happens if you don't know exactly everything. And an example for me is when I'm coaching with people.
Mhm.
I'm coaching people, leaders, or other people in organizations, and they express to me this very structured side. I need to know what happens. I need to control my people. I have a plan. How come that person didn't deliver it yet? I mean, come on. I tell them, okay, what if you go to the other side? What if you say, I let go and I listen to that person for a moment and I try to be curious. You mentioned the curiosity,
Mhm.
to see how is that person actually trying to solve the problem. That's going to be hard for you because it's not your preference, but you might discover something really interesting that teaches you something. The other way around, the same thing.
Mhm.
If I'm happy not having any structure and just go with the flow, improvise everything,
Mhm.
I will tell them, you might want to start planning something and see what happens.
Hmm. So
Doing the
what might
opposite.
be what if somebody is a recovering head addict like I was, what might be one or two activities or things that are very simple and easy where somebody can start to
Hmm.
cultivate more embodiment and more, yeah, kind of like open up
Yeah,
to the body and open up those channels
yeah, yeah,
to allow more creativity to come through.
yeah. Okay, so some of this is going to be hippy dippy. So if you're really in your head, you're going to go one. All right. Well,
Okay.
first of all, is connect to your body. I mean, spend some time in the day, really just like visualizing your belly, your thorax, your legs, your muscles. If you're sitting on a chair now,
Hmm.
where does the weight, where do you feel your weight?
Mm.
Probably your bum.
It's like awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, awareness.
Hmm.
If you have your arms on an armrest or something,
Hmm.
how is that weight distributed over the armrest?
Hmm.
Just that, where is your head sitting?
Hmm.
And this is a bit of meditation stuff, really.
Yeah.
It's connecting to the now, hippy dippy stuff,
Hmm.
to reality and to your bodily functions. Are there any noises? Are you
Yeah.
hearing something around you? All those things. So that already is the first thing.
Hmm.
And the hard part here, this is if you have done some of this meditation work, the brain will start kicking in and say, what the hell are you doing? Doesn't make sense. This is hippy dippy shit.
Hmm.
So stay away from that voice.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. Another thing you can do because you want to understand and make sense of stuff, read about it. Do some reading. Listen to some podcasts like this one, by the way,
Mhm.
and open yourself up to some other ways of doing or understanding the world in a way that fits your preference.
Yeah. Well, what about, so I'm a recovering, living in my head addict.
Mm.
I'm doing this self-awareness, but how about showing up with other people, interacting with other people? Do you have any pointers for people to kind of be more embodied at work, at meetings with other
Yeah,
people?
yeah. The good part of being in your head, being a good thinker, an analytical thinker, is that you can plan ahead.
Right.
Is that you can probably script more or less a conversation. I do quite
Mhm.
some lot of work also with like conversational techniques. Like
Mhm.
how do you handle conflict? How do you how do you streamline relationships, mostly in organizations, when there is a clash of interest, for instance?
Mhm.
And the people who have a strong head sense like this, they will try to predict this is what we do and plan.
Mhm.
Okay. These are my facts. This is how I see the world. I will tell that person. And I think that person will tell me this.
Mhm.
That person will be wrong because I'm right. That's kind of the thought
Mhm.
process. So when you are with another person, even if that, by the way, no conflict, if you can just have this in any
Mhm.
conversation, is to again shift to something we may call genuine curiosity.
Mhm.
Try to open your mind and your body, I guess, as well, to what the person actually is saying and how the person is saying it. So this is where the paraverbal, the
Mhm.
use of the voice,
Yeah.
and the nonverbal, how is the person sitting? What is coming across without trying to make interpretations or assumptions?
Mhm.
Because your brain will do the work. You're so the muscle, your brain
Yeah.
muscle is so strong that you cannot turn it off. It'll do the work. You could dial it down a bit and dial
Yeah.
the other one a bit up about, okay, what's happening? What am I noticing?
Mhm.
What's new? All those things. And with that curiosity, you will create a different space of conversation and interaction where people on the other side will probably feel, eh? Feel more heard. And this will make it easier to interact with somebody. But for that, you need to make an effort to silence the strong
Yeah.
voice that you have learned to appreciate and that's always been with you, that's always been guiding you, and tell that voice, it's okay, I don't need you now.
Yeah. Well, I've read that scientists now tell us that there's a lot of neurons in the heart area and in the gut
Mm.
area, and that
Oh
they
yeah.
send more signals up to the brain that the
Yes.
brain signals down. And what you're talking about, it just makes me think of times where, again, being too wrapped up in my head, I
Mm.
just didn't have a lot of awareness or attention to my body. Because I
Mm.
think in that
Of
conversation,
course.
I'm starting to notice I'm trying to do good.
Great. Good.
Trying to make you proud. No, I'm
Yay.
trying to uh, just cultivate more attention to the body. And sometimes you're having a conversation and it just feels bad in your gut, or
Yeah.
somewhere in your body. Just there's some tension or some constriction, or there's something. And that
Great
reminds me
example.
too of times that I've had very talented colleagues who are very successful. And I remember one
Mm.
person in particular who she said, like, at the end of the day, like the kind of the yes no decision, she really checked in with her
Mm.
gut, like she had that awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that the times when I've ignored my gut hasn't gone very well. And I can't
Yeah.
think of a time where I, you know, I listened to my gut and it didn't go well at all. Like it there's
Yeah.
I think the body, and that's not to be woo, but it seems like the body has many other sense making
Yeah.
mechanisms. And I think it's fantastic advice to
Yeah.
cultivate that body awareness and listen to that, and couple it with the curiosity, but not only to what the person's saying, but how is that, what's the effect on our body. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating because
Mhm.
you're so right. And we, by the way, we know that
Mhm.
None of our decisions that we make in life, less even the most important decisions, are free of emotions or
Yeah.
free of bodily sensations.
Yeah.
We're not rational people.
We're not.
No. So we know that part, but as you mentioned, I have the same thing. My
Mhm.
body tells me stuff, and my natural response, because also I'm a human and I'm been brought up in this Western culture, my body will try to make sense of it and control it or
Mhm.
negate it in some sense. So how the question, I would say there is wisdom in body. There is wisdom
Yeah.
in physicality. There's wisdom in putting many bodies together, say very bluntly, to get something done. You could call it dance. You
Mhm.
could call it something else. You could do work, whatever. It's the same thing because there's wisdom happening under under the head.
Mhm.
I'm wearing a turtleneck. It really is a distinction between my head and my body. But that is not true. And
Mhm.
to be very, very, very frank, Ezekiel, is
Mhm.
that one of my biggest life struggles is to understand that as a dancer. I mean, I've lived this. I've
Mhm.
lived in my my world was my body. I
Yeah.
felt every muscle of my body. I was able to control every muscle and
Mhm.
every bone so I could create beautiful aesthetic movements, which are, um, and yet today I am like
Mhm.
you. The head takes over. So
Mhm.
how can one access this wisdom that's there, the reality,
Mhm.
and still, I think, still be at ease with it? I say it that way.
Yeah. Well, this is a great segue. Let's jump in the time machine and
Yeah.
go
Cool. Oh,
rewind
lovely. Right.
way back because I think this is just perfect. So you started
Yeah.
studying ballet at the age of
Yeah.
10. So and that's really interesting because you're still, a child and
Yeah.
plastic and your body is developing, etc. So just looking back at that time, what would you say were the most essential skills that you trained as a ballet dancer and performer?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, that's a great question. And I think at the time, so there's two views to this. At the time, what I think I learned was discipline,
Mm-hmm.
mental and physical. I mean,
Mm.
as any top sport and any
Mm-hmm.
any gymnast, similar track path, I would say. When you're starting as a gymnast, you have to start really young, and basically
Yeah.
your body is reshaped. Your physical abilities are augmented,
Mm-hmm.
and this goes through pain.
Yeah.
It, it doesn't come automatically. So it's rehearsal, it's repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Ballet is repetition.
Mm-hmm.
In a If some of the listeners maybe seen or practiced ballet, as a ballet dancer, you would every day do a ballet class, which
Mm-hmm.
is actually similar. You always do the same exercises. Just for the record, I made I made a calculation. I did dance for about 25 years in my life, a bit more.
Mm.
Okay. That means nearly every day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And we always do an activity which is called a plie. Plie is French for bending. You bend your knees and
Mm.
your knees go sideways.
Mm.
Okay. I calculated that I did about that movement is about 2 seconds or 3 seconds. I did about 500 hours of plies in my life.
Wow.
Just that little movement, repetition, repetition,
Wow.
repetition, repetition, every day, every day, every day. And through repetition, you acquire excellence. So discipline, repetition, excellence, pain,
Yeah.
enduring pain, while showing that everything is easy. Especially girls, ladies, they
Mhm.
stand on point shoes.
Yeah.
This is a
Mm-hmm.
few inches, and their entire body weight is on a few inches, and they are smiling.
Mm.
The toes, they're not made for that.
Yeah.
So that is, it sounds weird, but that's on one side, this is a wonderful life lesson. Basically, what I've learned is that it's going to be okay. I can surpass that.
Yeah.
It's a terrible life lesson because you're demolishing kids' mental health and physical health. So, by the way, only a few will able to sustain this.
Mhm.
But when I learned of this, for me, it was positive. Let's say this.
Yeah.
And of course, what you learn as well is you don't dance alone. You
Yeah.
dance with other people. Ballet
Yeah.
becomes interesting. Swan Lake with just a swan
Yeah.
is not fun. Well, there's a dying swan, by the way, Anna Pavlova, which is a
Yeah.
wonderful dance
Yeah.
back in the early 20th century. But dance, when you are creating an experience for a paying audience, for instance, with more than one person, becomes interesting because
Mhm.
the real action sits between two human beings.
Hmm.
This is what is beautiful about
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
relationships.
Well, there's something interesting, or there's something that I'm curious about. I've been exploring about art because there's this artist, and pardon me for making just like crass categorization, but this artist that we might call they're not very good or they're bad or this is just not very
Hmm.
engaging.
Oh,
But now and then there's some artists that are just really captivating,
yeah.
right? And they're
Mm,
and here I want
my
to
God.
just start opening up the conversation around ego because
Oh, thank you.
there's the refined technique, like really refined technique.
Yeah.
And then there's something else, again, to get woo about the creativity and the spirit that is able to employ technique to express something.
Mm,
But when
yeah.
we witness like bad acting or something, there's something, it sometimes it doesn't connect. We can recognize, oh, this person just wants attention or it's about them. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of flat. So let's
Yeah.
talk about ego. So ego is,
Mm,
something that gets in the way in the arts, but also in life, just in our lives in general.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. My
What
God.
lessons did you learn about ego and kind of getting it out of the way as best as we can to really
Mm.
express, to really, generate something special in the moment when we're
Yeah.
performing?
Well, let me unpack a few things because you said a few really interesting things
Okay.
about art. So I'll take that segue first. Art. What is art? I think one can say the beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Hmm.
Some art, I think, art to some extent as well. I mean, it's very personal.
For sure.
It's actually quite emotional. It's even quite physical. I think when I am experiencing art in any form, I get physical sensations,
Yeah.
which I enjoy. By the way, that tells me something
Hmm.
about how I experience that.
Hmm.
But it might be different for my friend or somebody else. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that I think to be able to let go as an artist, to really become creative, you have to understand the basics. You cannot write a piano concerto
Hmm.
for a full symphony orchestra if you have not studied music. Okay. You cannot play the piano and become a beautiful jazz improviser if you have not spent the hours. I'm not saying this is the 10,000 hour
Hmm.
rule. This is something else. But you have to understand the basics as a dancer as well, as a painter as well. I'm kind of dubitative, I would say, about child painters who sell their paintings for $5,000 on the
Hmm.
internet. Okay, maybe I'm old school
Hmm.
about this. There needs to be some kind of practice and repetition, and we talked about this in a moment.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. The downside of this is that once you get better at it, or once you get recognition around this, it has an impact on your appreciation of yourself.
Hmm.
You say, "Hey, wow, I mean, people pay me money for this. Wow, I must be good." Okay, so your ego will grow. But this is the same thing in organizations. Okay, some people, this is also something that is you could measure it, I guess. And so there are some psychometrical tools will do that tell people that some people are focused on what's important to them. They have learned in life that uh, they can they can focus their activities and their relations with other people, and they can extract what's important to them and express that. So they're the people who are able to say what they need. I want that without negative thoughts, but just I'm in a restaurant. The waiter gives me that table, and I say, "Sorry, can I have that table, please? This close to the window. I prefer that." Cool. Thinking of your own needs. And some other people on the other extreme have learned to accommodate.
Mhm.
And say, well, okay, the waiter put me at that table. There must be a good reason. He knows or she knows what she's doing. So I'm fine here. So the thing is, if you're on one side of the ego part here,
Mhm.
you become a bit blind to how other people perceive reality because you only see the world through your own eyes.
Yeah.
And then it can become toxic.
Mhm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Well, so let's make a bridge here to
Yeah.
another question where I think we can unpack
Yeah, cool.
this ego issue some more. So I'm curious, especially as a performer, like what you
Hmm.
learn about making a connection with an audience, like really making that
Yeah,
magic happen, where you have that
cool.
collective breath and you're just
Cool.
like enchanting people.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. That is a totally connection. And thank you for bringing me that.
Yeah.
Yes. As an artist, especially a performing artist, you need to have an ego.
Yeah.
So that is part of well, people pay to see something extraordinary happening on stage.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, any form, so you need to give them this is expectation management, and give them what they want. If I am strong in my experience, my knowledge, my expertise, my practice, and I know this of myself, I can bring this with force. I would say force
Mhm.
I can I can if I believe in it myself, they will believe in it. You mentioned
Yeah.
bad acting. Okay. So if I believe in it and I can't do it, if I don't have the experience or the hours of put in or the talent, that's a discrepancy. So
Mhm.
that's one for the audience. But let's say you get to the moment where you can actually where you find this strength within you that encompasses everything we talked about. So the mind, the body, the experience, the feelings, the emotions, all those things, and it all becomes this one big glowing ball, and it all makes sense. It's this superpower.
Mhm.
That is a moment that I have lived myself
Mhm.
very strongly on stage. It was a specific moment where I understood that I had this ability, and my ego, yeah, I didn't blow up, but
Mhm.
I was like, gee, this is strong. This is
Mhm.
very powerful. I can influence
Yeah.
people. At the time it was back in the Soviet Union. So
Mm.
I'm that old, listeners. I'm that old. I was dancing. I was dancing in at the time in Leningrad, St.
Mhm.
Petersburg today,
Mhm.
and the Russian audience is very well instructed on arts, dance,
Oh.
ballet, music. So there were about 5,000 people, which is a big audience back in the 90s, early 90s. And I was doing something we call a solo, which means like I
Mhm.
was dancing alone at a certain moment in the performance. And I decided to move slower,
Hmm.
to actually focus myself completely on the audience. And I got
Mhm.
10,000 eyes s- sucking up my energy
Mhm.
and waiting for something to happen. And I was in charge.
Yeah.
And you create this gasp moment.
Hmm.
And that is such a powerful moment. But yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Great power, great responsibility. That,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, let me do a pass at this because I
Yeah.
interviewed Rajiv Satyala, a comedian, and he had
Yeah.
gotten inspiration from another comedian whose name I can't recall at the moment. But this other comedian talks about distinction of in the case of comedy, but I think it applies to
Yeah.
many things in life. In the case of showing up, of getting versus giving. So like getting laughs
Yeah.
versus giving laughs,
Yes.
and that ties back to ego. I don't know. Do you? Yeah, does that bring up anything for you? Any reactions, any thoughts or memories as
Absolutely.
to like showing up in the spirit of, I want to get attentions versus giving something to the audience?
Yeah. Um, there's a lot of similarities between facilitation, working with groups, allowing groups to find
Yeah.
this this magnitude of possibilities, and being on stage, because we are the people that the participants, workers, colleagues look at.
Hmm.
So somehow we catalyze energy. It goes through us.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
we have to attract the energy in the room. So we are the ones who are able to activate the audience. We are ones that have the technology, the techniques, the methodologies, the certain formats for people to work well together. But it's not about us.
Yeah.
We are a catalyzer, and it somehow, the gesture I would make, I would take my hand from my in front of me
Hmm.
through my body and pushing it back to the audience.
Hmm.
I'm just catalyzing. It's not about me.
Hmm.
We are at service of the wisdom of the group and the practice of the group. But we need to be there, because otherwise, without us, energy doesn't get. It's like a prisms kind of thing, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, the light comes in, and we send it back in different colors and different schemes. This is what we do. But the problem here is that leaders and some type of individuals think that, oh, it's about me. I am
Hmm.
important. And then you
Yeah.
destroy everything.
Well, the interesting thing is that okay, this is probably too extreme, but there's almost like no art without an audience, right? You want to express something to share with somebody else. I mean, some people probably
Absolutely.
draw in their own notebook for themselves or whatever. So I'm not making an absolute statement here, but I think most people
Yeah.
who want to express something really want to share it with other people in some respect.
Hmm.
So just going back to that exchange of energy that I'm hearing you
Oh,
talk
wow.
about, right? It's
Well, yeah, well,
there's
I disagree.
ooh, tell me.
I, yeah, I
Mm,
think I think this is,
mm,
but I know quite a lot of people
mhm,
who, so actually, this is really interesting. I think the practice of art, or the practice of expression,
mhm,
I think this is, some people dance in their living room to music,
mhm,
and they don't want anybody to see them.
yeah,
Or some people sing in the shower. Is that art? I don't know, but it's an expression of
sure.
artistic something, I would say. Some
Mhm,
people journal, they write
mhm.
stories, or they write stuff that they don't want to show to other people. So I think there's some kind of a,
But is
like a
that really out
medical,
of
or,
satisfaction? Because I also hearing that sometimes there's just fear. I sing in the shower because I'm
oh yeah,
too
oh,
ashamed
absolutely,
to go, or too scared or whatever,
possibly,
intimidated. Like
possibly,
I something I'm going to do for myself one day is try to develop a little bit of skill in comedy and just go to an open
yeah.
mic and basically bomb, because that's what's going to
Oh
happen.
wow, yeah,
And
cool.
like I'm fascinated by comedians because I think that must be like one of the most masochistic art forms, because they bomb and bomb and bomb and keep back, and they come back and they iterate,
Hmm,
and just the intestinal fortitude that you need to absorb rejection
hmm, yes.
and
Oh yeah.
transform
Ooh,
your act into something that eventually
nice.
sings, and then you get the laugh, and then it's like,
Oh, nice.
that's.
Yeah, no, I love this,
but
what you say
but
about
listen, but
rejection
going
as
up to a
well.
mic
Yeah,
to me, it's terrifying.
I imagine it.
I would almost
Yes.
rather fight a tiger than
Yes.
get up in front
Wow,
of an
wow.
audience and just bomb.
I agree. True.
So
So,
so
but so basically, so
yeah.
you're facing your fears in that
So I
case.
receive what you're saying about some people maybe want to be private, but I wonder how much of that privacy sometimes is more reservation or a form of hiding or just
Maybe,
staying small rather than really expressing
maybe.
something. But I hear there's probably some people that just
Yeah.
enjoy doing composing something for themselves, and you know, so
Well,
it's not absolute.
well,
But
I think what it is. I mean, first of all, we can make a definition of art, but we're
yeah.
not here for to do that.
Mhm.
But I think the important part here is that you would like to, well, if you understand the concept of, well, facing your fears, because you'll be doing something that's terrifying you. So
Mhm.
well done, because you build your defenses, and you'll widen your scope and your comfort
Well,
zone, and
I haven't done it
you'll
yet.
learn. No, no, no. But this
I
is what's
can't
going to
take
happen if you
credit
do
yet.
this. What's going to happen? You're going to fall on your face, and you'll have
Yeah.
to stand up. A lot of it is about resilience.
Yes.
In artists building any competence is about resilience. You will fail.
Mhm.
As a dancer, since it's so scripted. Dance
Yeah.
is an art form invented in the 17th century in France,
Mhm.
and many of the movements are still performed in a very similar way. So there's only basically one way to do this, not two. There's only one way to do this,
Right.
a movement,
And
for
we're
instance.
talking about ballet. We're not talking about just
We're talking about
dance
ballet.
and
This is
movement in
classical.
general, just to clarify for the
Exactly.
audience.
Well,
Yeah.
this is
Mm.
the structure that we have now.
Mhm.
But I mean, just what I say about this is that being able, you really, the best learning, if you are able to let go of your own ego, accept feedback, and be resilient, and try again, try again, try again. As you mentioned, let's throw stuff at you, and I'll try again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're able to distill, let's just distill one or two lessons
Mm,
that you took away from your time as a dancer that now you bring to organizations, what
yeah.
what might be one or two nuggets that you think are really essential and important to to bring forth in your work
Yeah.
with teams and leaders?
Okay. First thing in the line of what we said here, I think of, don't try or don't think that you have to solve all the problems yourself.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm,
You are responsible for what you you are set out to do, or hired to do something, but you are not sole responsible. Group organizational work is a narrative. You
mm,
We are
yeah,
creating an organization is a narrative over time.
yeah,
It's an experience over time. You can't define it into one moment, or one decision moment, or one. It's something that we co-create over time. And co-creation is really the word that is really important here.
yeah.
Yes, I need to do my part of the work. And the best part of this is that I don't have to foster my own ego, bringing it back to what you mentioned. Because if everybody protects and forces their own ego in organizations, or by the way, in any relationship or any group work, you get people who are unable to share, and
Mhm,
to learn, and to learn how to fail and become resilient, all that stuff that we discussed. So, one very important teaching from my work as an improviser on stage is, my task is to take care of other people's egos. I have them, my task
mhm,
is to make them look good.
mhm,
And since we are a team, their task is to make me look good. I can trust them that they will make me look good. They will take care of me. So I don't have to take care of my own ego anymore.
yeah,
I can remember at the start of the
mhm,
conversation was about letting go
yeah,
and accepting. Well, that's a wonderful way. So we can all work for the benefit of what we're set out to do, instead of
mhm,
defending my own idea or my own ego or my
yeah.
own need.
Is that what you call championing?
That is yes.
Okay.
In coaching,
Uh-huh.
that is called championing, is when you
Mhm,
work with individuals or a group.
okay.
You can search for the elements that stand out positively and
Mm,
bring them that.
mhm,
We are inclined to find the things that don't go well and say that.
right.
We call this constructive feedback. Give me
Yeah.
constructive feedback,
Mhm,
please. And it's also very good to find things that actually do work well and point that out, because
Mhm.
these are platforms from which we can grow.
Yeah. But I think the two things, or what I'm hearing, overlap, because in the moment, if we're in a team and we're taking care of each other, I think we need to also be able to recognize what's working, and
Yeah,
in that
in
taking care of
both.
each other is like have the awareness and discernment to know where to direct the energy and like what to do for the other person,
Yeah,
and have that
true.
feedback cycle,
Yeah,
being active and dynamic.
absolutely. But if the team is set up in this way,
Mhm.
they're more likely to accept critical feedback, because they
Right.
know it's not geared against their person.
Mhm.
It is something that is not useful for the work we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting too what you said at the beginning of the conversation about the ballet, specifically how the really interesting things start to happen when there's more than one person, right? When
Yeah.
there's that exchange among people, and as somebody who at times has operated as a solopreneur, yeah, it gets kind of lonely and it's kind of boring.
Mm,
It's fun to
yeah.
have a network of people to
Yes.
kind of play with, because we have a lot of fun when we get together. Uh,
Absolutely.
I know just working with Adam is like, this is just
Mm,
ridiculous
yeah.
in the fun factor, because
Yeah.
he's like so funny.
Yes. Humor is also a big part of it, by the way. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best things in life. Well,
Yeah.
Renatus, we're gonna start to wind down our conversation,
Yeah.
but I do want to bring this up. So the name of this project is Making Business Art. So when
Yeah.
you hear that phrase, what comes up for you, or what meaning do you make of that?
Yeah. Mm. I've mentioned something about the art of facilitation,
Hmm.
which is like, it's like a craft.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have art and we have craft. Uh, Often good craft can actually build art to some extent. So there are unspoken elements of great human collective achievements that we cannot describe with our heads or our
Yeah.
logic. And that part for me is linked to uh, the ability to connect individually and collectively to the wisdom, the knowledge that goes further than just our intellect. And knowing the that the body is a source of inspiration,
Hmm.
of information, of communication. If we can include this in the way we interact with each other, we can become artists, I think,
Hmm.
of our achievements and create something beautiful together. So how I would say it.
Yeah. Well, there's something that is a thread that's been running through this conversation, and I want to kind of land for
Mhm.
a moment in the moment that you described where you were doing this solo performance and had this sense of power, this connection
Mm.
and engagement with the audience. And one of the reasons I think I named, the name of this project kind of emerged out of my body, right? It wasn't.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I also like that it also spells MBA, which is like, haha.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was
It's
something. Yeah,
it's
true.
the other, it's the Peter
Yeah.
MBA.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so I just want to connect some dots between what you said, like the moment you're performing, you have this very
Yeah.
powerful experience, this connection with the audience, and something you said earlier around the
Yeah.
leaders that want to be in command and control. And and and, and something that I notice about art is that you don't you're not in command and control. It's an invitation, and it's
Yes.
enchantment,
Oh,
and it's just
yeah.
powerful how, I was visiting Ecuador early this year, and I was asking one of my
Yeah.
my cousins, who's like, she's in her 20s. I was asking her about Taylor Swift because I'm like, okay, I understand.
Mm.
I don't understand the level of fame, just the
Yeah.
we would call like the fever around Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, explain this to me. But
Yeah.
there are people that would travel from the Americas to Europe to go to a Taylor
Oh,
Swift
yeah.
concert.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's some financial, some numbers that maybe make sense, but it's still like a lift and a disruption in your life to do that,
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
to go see somebody
Yeah.
perform and have an experience. And I'm like, wow,
Wow.
that's wild. What can leadership look like that? You know?
So, by the way, what did she say? Just a curiosity. What was her reply?
Well,
Remember that?
as we've been talking about in this conversation, some of this stuff just doesn't come up to language. It's just a feeling, and it's
Yeah.
hard to put into
Yeah.
words. It was just like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just
You're
fun.
right. Cool.
But the really a point that I'm making here is about the invitation and the enchantment of art,
Yeah.
and can we make
You're right.
business resonate with that and have some of those flavors
Yeah.
and those features? So tell me about,
It's,
yeah, just your thoughts of on like leaders, and how do we, or your thoughts about getting away from command and control and being an invitation, like having that connection with your team and then with your customers.
yeah. I like the word enchantment.
Mm,
And it really is en français, it's enchantement. It's about singing.
mm,
It's like a song
mhm.
happening without us knowing that it happens somehow. It links to magic as well. And
Yeah.
some artists, some very famous artists, say that it's the hand of God.
Mm,
They don't
mhm.
decide.
Yeah.
It it is it's they are just
Well,
the vehicle for
it's
some
the
reason.
relaxation, right? It's the opening.
It's
Yeah.
exactly this,
Yes.
and we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Is that if you're truly able to have access to all your senses and maybe more than five, who knows?
Mhm.
Listen, listen to what the world, the universe, that now we're getting really, really big, is telling you, and let it flow. Another
Mhm.
word we use a lot with Adam is the word flow.
Yeah.
Let it let it just be and disciple through your veins and body and brain and hands and feet, and you are one with creation. Now this
Mhm.
is going to be, and in the
Okay.
end, this is what it is. We're just simple
Yeah.
dust pieces, just like dust pieces in the universe of
Mhm.
nothing.
Yeah. Well, I have a cosmic question that I pull out now and then. So I'm gonna pull
Wow.
it out now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you don't have an answer, it's okay. We can pass.
Yeah,
But
please.
let's see if something bubbles out of you. What is trying to get expressed through your life?
For me,
Yeah. Do you have a sense of that? If you don't, it's fine.
hmm,
It's a tough question.
that's a great coaching session. If you agree, I would want to steal that from you.
Sure.
What is trying to get expressed through your life?
So it's not you, the ego you, it's
Yeah.
the cosmos at work.
Yeah. Well,
How does that feel in your body right now?
yeah, it is about something about others.
Hmm.
It's not about me. I'm here for I'm the supporting act.
Mhm.
I'm the sidekick.
Yeah.
And I think my yeah, I'm feeling very calm now, by the way.
Yeah.
My to my purpose actually of life
Mm.
is to enable, let's say it that way.
Yeah. It's a beautiful one.
This is
Well,
this is how far I get to it.
thank you for digging in and and sharing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this monstrous question for somebody
Yeah,
with
it is a
nothing.
very big question. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful, deep,
Yeah.
deep question.
And just the last pass at making business hard here. So
Yeah.
what possibilities do you think connecting the head and the body in the ways that we've been talking about today? What are the possibilities that we can unlock for ourselves and our teams,
Yeah.
organizations, families, communities? What do
Yeah.
you see?
Well, but by the way, everything we talk about, oh, I mean, we
Mhm.
talk about work and it's in
Mhm.
business and stuff, but frankly, I mean, don't tell anybody. But this stuff is very valuable for your personal, private relationships with other people, family, friends,
Absolutely.
anywhere. It sits anywhere. So that's one thing that it will
Mhm.
unlock if you understand. Um, when you come to work, whatever you call work or business, whatever it is,
Mhm.
you are still the same person.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't switch. Okay, you may have some other like
Mhm.
lenses or something, but it's still you. Your same body, same sensations, same stomach ache you woke up with this morning. You bring that to work. Well, that will have an effect on the way you show up, I would say, and do stuff And so, yeah, so what what allows is, if you start to understand this and experiment with this, you'll probably ease down a bit in your own life and accept maybe a bit more thing who you are.
Mhm.
You'll probably become a better life partner, or
Mhm.
more curious, interested life partner. You'll probably become a more valuable worker, colleague, because you open up to other people instead of being focused on yourself. Together, if this works together, you probably will be creating better work, time, space projects together, probably better output. And you probably make a better world, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what I'm starting to find in my own rehabilitation is it just makes it more
But,
fun and joyful
oh yeah,
overall.
oh yeah, all that. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah. Of
Mhm.
course, it makes. Come on, it's so much fun to be with people.
Yeah.
Okay, not all the time, but I mean, come on, magic happens. Really,
It does.
you're right.
Well, we're coming up on the end of our conversation here, Renato. So I
Yeah.
just want to ask you a few lightning round questions, and then I'll open up
Good.
the floor
Cool.
for you to share what you have going on. So first question is, what is the last piece of media that you loved? That can be a book, a movie, a podcast, anything else.
Good question. That I loved. I'm reading several books at the same time. One book that recently read was a book about the Netherlands back in the 18th century,
Hmm.
the golden 17th, 18th century, the golden age of the Netherlands, and how this had an impact on the world actually.
Yeah. And what do you love about it?
What I love about it is history. I'd like to.
That's
I mean, I'm from the Netherlands, so I
mm,
can relate to this, of course.
mhm.
But how a small bunch of people. I mean, Netherlands is a very tiny country. How there was an ability to engineer their way out of the water, basically,
Yeah.
and become, by collaboration and
Mhm.
by committee, understanding the world better. There's a lot of bad things happened. Okay, this is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that what happened and what they did to people around the world is, but
Mhm.
the, the capacity of human to come together in a kind of democratic way, because that was the Netherlands at the time, and decide on an adventure and make it happen.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
No, I just quickly, I'll insert my comment here that the first time I
Please.
visited Amsterdam and we went to
Yes.
some museums with my partner Amy,
Yeah.
I was really struck how this group of people took this marsh
Mm.
and through the power of work and collaboration
Yes.
turned it into something really powerful.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we acknowledge there's like some dark history there,
Oh. Mm.
but
Oh yeah.
just that act of transformation, it was yeah,
Yeah.
it stuck with me. So yeah,
Yeah.
I resonate with that. The
Yeah.
next question is, what is something that inspires you?
This conversation inspires me. So I already thank you for this.
Thank
This inspires me.
you.
This exchange of thoughts, of sensations to some extent, and learning from you,
Mhm.
uh, learning how to reason a bit what is in me. That's a lot of cool. Other what inspires me is a lot. I work a lot with different cultures and organizations in Africa, which is a culture that I'm not oh, I've not grown up with.
Mm.
So I'm learning a lot about national and local and tribal culture
Yeah.
in the context of the good conversation, is
Mhm.
how to allow people to work better together and allow them to be able to combat and eradicate diseases like malaria and tuberculosis and stuff.
Mm.
But I'm learning.
Mhm.
I'm inspired by learning. Let's say it that way.
So you're learning to dance with them.
Yes, and by the way, we dance a lot. For them, that's the easy
Really?
part. You know, they stand up.
Oh,
Oh yeah, man.
nice.
That's so it is. Well, it's
Mm.
fascinating. That's another podcast.
That's that's amazing. Well, what's a song or band that you must play during a solo road trip?
Oh, okay. I'm an old guy, so things like Electric Light Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yesterday, I actually the soundtrack of a movie the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm.
That's a wonderful soundtrack.
They, they have
If
good
you're from
music on there.
it's great. So that type of music is, oh man, oh yeah.
And finally, what do you want to see more of in the world?
I want to see more of facilitation
Hmm,
as a craft and an art of allowing other people to be awesome,
thank you.
really.
Well, we have reached the end of our conversation here,
Wow.
Renatus. Tell the audience, share with the audience, what do you have going on and why should people look you up? Where can they find
Yes, thank you. So what I'm going on,
you?
I'm on social media. I'm quite a private person, so I don't share a lot, which
Hmm.
is a choice of mine. And again, this is linked to the fact that it's not about me. Okay.
Hmm.
I will gladly post about other people's
Hmm.
achievements and journeys. So, but yeah, what I'm involved at the co-creation school with Adam Lawrence, for instance, as well. That's an endeavor that we have to bring people together in basically conversations about things that are important to them. And often there are people from the world of design and often from the world of facilitation and maybe training, coaching, all that. People, let's say it that way. So that's something that they need to look up and join us in our
Hmm.
3 monthly online conversations. They can access that easily. And otherwise I'll be traveling to Africa really soon and having some great conversations. And you may see some posts and photos around this as well on LinkedIn or somewhere else.
Great. Well, I'll be sure to put those links in the
Thank
episode
you.
description so people
Yes.
can click on that and look you up. Renatus, this has been a fantastic conversation. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
thank you so much for your time and attention. I really value
Yeah.
you sharing your time with me today. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well. It was a joy.